Hello, this is a reflection from the parish of St. Francis Assisi, Burien, Washington. My name is Robert Edgman. A new normal. It's a term that we all have been hearing a lot lately. It's a relatively new term. It was created during the financial crisis of 2007-8. It implies that something previously thought of as abnormal has now become commonplace. New normal can have positive connotations, like when it refers to the growing political and cultural power of women after the 2018 election. New normal can also have negative undertones, as is in the current case of COVID-19. If the abnormal becomes commonplace, then it would follow that would bring about new accepted behaviors, practices, and directives. And COVID-19 certainly has done that. Some of these new accepted ways of acting are based on science. Some are based on rumors and hearsay. Some are based on fear, and let's be honest, some seem a bit silly. Some of the actions that we're supposed to do. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Don't shake hands. Touch elbows. Wait, don't touch elbows. That means you're getting too close. The WHO says we should stay at least 3 feet from each other. However, the CDC says we should stay at least 6 feet from each other. And the American Institute of Physics this month published a report that said we need to factor in the average wind speed in major U.S. cities, and that would require us to stay at least 20 feet apart. In January, the new normal at grocery stores was to bring your own reusable bags. In May, a reusable bag can be considered a bioweapon. The new normal in 2019 was use mass transit if you want to save the planet. The new normal in 2020, if you care about your family, you won't use mass transit. How we are supposed to act seems to change daily. And you had better know, agree, and follow these new expectations of behavior because, after all, they are the new normal. This confusion about rules, protocols, proper behavior, it's not something new. While the term new normal is only 13 years old, what was once thought of as abnormal becoming commonplace, that has been around for as long as humankind. As I said at the beginning, new normals can mean something positive, something negative, or a mix of both. The teachings of Christ were meant to bring about a new normal, because to show unconditional love to others, to put the needs of others before the needs of yourself, was not considered normal behavior. The idea that all a person had to do to have a relationship with God was to simply love their neighbor as themselves was a completely abnormal way of thinking. It blew people's minds. There had to be more to it. It just couldn't be that simple. Whenever people find themselves in new, unfamiliar circumstances, the first thing they search for are rules. And if no rules exist, or worse, if we find the existing rules inadequate, we will create new ones. Some will be based on our understanding of new conditions. Some will be based on what we already know, and some will be based on fear of what we don't know. Christians were no different. A new radical way of thinking needed a new set of rules. And some of these rules were based on the teachings of Christ. Some of these rules were based on already existing religious traditions. And unfortunately, some of the new rules were based on fear. In John 16, 1-3, Christ gives his disciples and all of his followers this warning. I have told you this so that you do not fall away. They will expel you from the synagogues. In fact, the hour is coming when everyone who kills you will think he's offering worship to God. They will do this because they have not known the Father or me. This warning is not just about what may be done to Christians. This warning is about what Christians, what you and I, brothers and sisters, will do to others and do to each other. Being a Christian following the teachings of Christ, was supposed to create a new normal of giving, serving, unconditional generosity. And it would have if we had simply expounded on the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 25, 35, 45, the story of the Good Samaritan. But instead of expounding on Christ's message, we confounded it with our own personal prejudices, biases, and bigotries. We metaphorically, and sometimes literally, throw people out of the church because their understanding of transubstantiation isn't as pure as ours. They sprinkle the head, but they don't dunk the body. They celebrate communion with grape juice instead of wine. We spiritually kill each other over whose acts of contrition are more sincere, whose expressions of moral indignation are more impressive, whose lifestyle is more righteous. I sometimes wonder that if Jesus were to walk among us today, would he see his followers as a vanguard of a new normal that shows the abnormal generosity and giving of God's love? Or would he see just a new and improved version of the Pharisees and Sadducees? So the question that must be answered is why? When intentions are pure, do Christians, do you and I, throw people out of the synagogue? Well, Jesus gives us that answer as well. They will do this because they have not known the Father or me. Brothers and sisters, if we are to truly know the Father and Christ, we must accept completely that the only thing a person has to do to have a relationship with God is to love him and show that love by constantly trying to commit acts of unconditional love towards all of his children. When a person does that, there is no need for all of these rules, protocols, and accepted behaviors. When a person does that, the new normal of Christ actually happens. So, your homework for the week. Be hypervigilant about how you think and internally judge other people that you'll encounter this week. Are you using Christ's criteria, or are you using some human-made standard? Next, commit one action each day that promotes and shows the new normal of God's abnormal love and encourages others to do the same. Brothers and sisters, be safe, be strong, wash your hands, go in peace, glorifying the Lord by your life.